Ugh. Hello, Mother. This is Half Mental, the show that's 90% baseball and the other half mental. I'm Dan here with my co-host tonight. Little under the weather. I'll be running things a little bit more than usual. Thanks for coming along for the ride. I had a great baseball week. Seemed like there was a lot of exciting games going on, good stuff. I was able to get out to a game at my local minor league team, Tulsa Drillers, AA affiliate of the Dodgers. Get some sweet Cody Bellinger jersey giveaway. Watch some baseball with some friends. Ugh. We're going to get to it. Something that my co-host here probably isn't really here to talk about, but we had a World Series rematch this weekend and potentially a World Series preview. The Houston Astros visited Los Angeles and played the Dodgers and, in short, beat the pants off of them. Dodgers did take the game today, 3-2, but on Saturday the Astros won 14-0. This is following Dodgers beating the Brewers 21-5. So Dodgers had a lot of variance in their scores this week. But man, the Astros continue to be a pretty hard team to beat. Walker Buehler, the rookie for the Dodgers, did outpitch Garrett Cole today, which is always a good sign. Brian Dozier has had some big hits today. I believe he's got 2 home runs already for the Dodgers. Looking like that trade's going to work out pretty well for him. Unfortunately, right now, any talk of the Astros needs to lead to the Astros acquisition of relief pitcher Roberto Osuna last week. The Blue Jays traded him. He's a 23-year-old relief pitcher, had been very successful, and he is wrapping up a 75-game suspension for domestic abuse. Major League Baseball typically has not been as heavy-handed in their domestic abuse suspensions. This was the biggest ever. And they did it before he's not been convicted of a crime, but they say he completed, whatever training, sensitivity training and this or that. Houston put themselves in the position of having to defend employing somebody for whom there is video of them being violent against their significant other. Not a great look for Houston. They continue to try to kind of tread the line. They described Roberto Osuna as remorseful. And his agent came out the next day and said he's not remorseful because he didn't do anything wrong. So that's a shame for baseball, in my opinion. All right, moving on to a little bit more exciting topic. The Boston Red Sox continue to lay waste to baseball right now. They currently have a winning percentage of .696. They're on pace for 113 wins, which would be the third most of all time. They, as we both agree, basically, are in the division with the second best team in baseball, but they're like 7.5 games ahead of New York right now. They have really separated themselves as the class of baseball at this point. Mookie Betts ended up playing second base in a game. Turns out he was drafted and came up as a second baseman, but hasn't played it since he came up. He's a great outfielder, and this is kind of fun. He got to play a little second base. Not too bad to see people play out of position sometimes. We touched on this a couple weeks ago, but Matt Carpenter has continued his torrid pace after post All-Star break. He's now tied for the NL lead in home runs. He's got 29 home runs. He's tied with Nolan Arenado. He hit his 22nd leadoff home run to take sole possession of that record for the St. Louis Cardinals. The guy's just been on fire lately, and he draws walks when he needs it, and he hits doubles, and he hits home runs. I think you've got an interesting thing developing in the National League where Matt Carpenter has established himself as clearly the best position player. He plays a little first and a little third. He might have played some second this year. But he's the best hitter in the National League, and there's not really much of a debate about it anymore. And on the pitching side, you've got Jacob deGrom, who has further separated himself. I picked Max Scherzer as my Cy Young candidate after the All-Star break, but Jacob deGrom has earned the Cy Young at this point. His last 5 games, he's averaged just under 8 innings pitched. He's gone 39 innings in 5 games, only allowed 8 earned runs. So you've got these 2 players with Carpenter and deGrom who have sort of non-traditional cases. Matt Carpenter's team is not going to make the playoffs. Jacob deGrom could finish with less than 10 wins still. He's getting no support from the Mets, but they lead in all these categories. deGrom has an ERA a half run better than Max Scherzer. And continues to pitch really well. So kind of an interesting thing shaping up in the National League. It's time for a Shohei Ohtani update, in my opinion. The Angels are no longer expecting Shohei Ohtani to need Tommy John surgery. He's starting to throw a little bit more. I don't think he's going to pitch this year, but he's continuing to hit for him. And he had his first multi-home run game. So he hit 2 home runs the other day. Let's do a little cheers for Shohei Ohtani. Great showing. 2 home run game is always good. Still one of the most exciting guys in baseball, in my opinion. We might just have to wait a year to see him put it all together. Another team we talked about a little bit last episode, I think, maybe 2 episodes ago, was Oakland. The Oakland A's are just on fire lately. They now are 2.5 games up with a wild card spot. They've got the second wild card in the AL, and they're 2.5 up of Seattle. They might have their eyes on the Astros. I don't really see them winning the division, but certainly it's more of an option than we would have ever thought. They have the 5th best winning percentage in all of baseball. They're right at the Yankees winning percentage, and they're led by all-star third baseman Matt Chapman. In his first full season, I think he got called up a couple months into the season last year. He is the best defensive third baseman in baseball. Wouldn't you agree? Nolan Arenado always held that distinction, but Matt Chapman, since the beginning of last year, has more defensive runs saved than anyone else in all of baseball. And little tidbit I learned this week, Matt Chapman actually was high school teammates with Nolan Arenado. I know, I'd never heard that before. But Arenado was starting shortstop. I think I looked it up. They were 3 years apart, or 2 years apart maybe. So Matt Chapman, his sophomore year, was backup to senior Nolan Arenado. Pretty amazing. Little cheers, tip of the cap to Matt Chapman. Tip of the cap to Matt Chapman. Matt Chapman talk gets me to my play of the week. Shifts continue to happen all over baseball, and it turns out that defensive shifting is a lot easier when you've got the best defensive third baseman in the game. So we had Oakland twice in the same game shift to where Chapman was the only guy on the left side of the infield. And you saw the player react 2 different ways. They bunted once to try to get on base, and Chapman was able to charge and throw the guy out at first. And then they tried to just sort of slap at the ball and hit it to the opposite field and kind of poke it down the third baseline. And Chapman's range allowed him to get to the ball in the outfield grass, and his arm allowed him to throw him out at first base. He made 2 great plays that definitely make it seem like the shift always makes it seem like they're giving up the hit to the left side, but not when Matt Chapman's the guy on the left side. Anything else to add? Well, hey, thanks for joining us this week. We'll be back with our full original cast next week. Look forward to talking some more baseball. Cheers. Enjoy.